What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Opendoor, I want to go over some of the data points, what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor went down 4.12%, 812 the low, 870 the high. And so it kind of just piggybacked off of the broader market, which ultimately the market was kind of freaking out over Powell and him not really doubling down on kind of what the FOMC minutes did state. In fact, during his speech this morning, he didn't talk on any monetary points at all. So that kind of caused the market to freak out a little bit. But today we did see extremely low volume. So 92.8 million shares being traded. 327 is the average. So we have not seen that low of volume since ultimately looks like August 8th, 2025, when it was at that kind of high $1 to $2 range. So kind of crazy stuff. And as I've stated in the past, I do believe that Opendoor right now is a very big momentum play, and any momentum stock, you need a lot of capital to get in. So as soon as you kind of lose that capital, you're opening yourself up for a lot of manipulation. So given the fact that we did have, 92 million shares being traded, once I go over what shorts did, it'll make a lot more sense on kind of how this day did play out. But there was news that did come out today. So Opendoor to report Q3 financial results on November 6, 2025. And so this is going to be done after hours. Luckily enough for this earnings, I think that the market might give them a pass on a lot of the key metrics, such as earnings per share and revenue, because Opendoor has a good excuse. They could just say, hey, we kind of received the actual company in a damaged state and now we are rebuilding it. So I think Kaz could use that as a good pivot to really write off all of these numbers. And as long as they give good future guidance, that's most likely what will really move the market. Once we get closer to that date though, I'll do a little bit more of a deeper dive on some expectations. A couple of things did come out. So this one right here, it looks like Keith was responding to someone saying that they've already done a massive amount of layoffs. So huge reduction already. So that's kind of a good thing. Most likely it won't affect the Q3 numbers, rather the Q4 numbers. So that could be a good thing, but still they'll probably just use that as a good talking point on kind of their future guidance on kind of cost cutting measures and so forth. Aside from that, the only thing that I wanted to bring up was this right here. So Eric was responding to Brad. Brad doesn't have any description on what he is or whatever else. But Brad just said the pump is over. Now we need real fundamentals for the next leg up. Earnings per share, revenue, and margins. Eric just says he doesn't necessarily agree. And this is where I think some of you might not understand where I come from. So I actually agree with this individual named Brad, that we had the nice rally. So of course it went through a meme stage and then now a cult stage. And arguably, we're in the whole momentum kind of phase. But still, in order for a company, any company, to hold on to its gains, you need fundamentals. So I do really think that this upcoming earnings and what they give for future guidance is going to be absolutely key in order for Opendoor to really move higher. Like, honestly, if I just choose a random stock and just say, hey, you know what? It's undervalued. It should be $120. Like, where are people getting this like $82 or whatever these amounts for Opendoor? It makes zero sense. And so I do 1,000,000% agree with Brad that you need strong fundamentals. And to be fully honest, Kaz kind of agrees with that. That's why he's building a good, strong base. If he thought that it was more of a pump type of action, then why would he be hiring and doing all this layoffs? Like, he could just keep everyone if it's just a pump, right? So in my opinion, I do think that a lot of investors don't really understand what Opendoor truly is, and just hear a bunch of people saying $82 and assume it will go there. You need fundamentals, strong fundamentals, and good growth. So that's just my opinion. I wanted to kind of throw that out there. So do your own due diligence, of course, and whatever else. But like I said, given the fact that we did have about 93 million shares being traded today, shorts really hit Opendoor hard today. So they did increase 12.9 million shares. So they made up for a good chunk of the overall volume because, as I've mentioned in the past, this is net. So they trade back and forth throughout the day. And so, yeah, they did ultimately increase 12.9 million shares. 22.06% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 156.35 million shares overall being shorted. So at the end of the day, like I said, I think Opendoor does need to put out concrete news and kind of show that the company is actually doing something of substance, right? Because no stock just goes up with no news whatsoever, contrary to what Eric does believe. So yeah, I think just the company really needs to do something and relatively fast, right? If you want to see them hold these gains. If not, then most likely you could see some further consolidation, which I'll go over the technicals near the end of the video. But 28 million in calls, 11 million in puts, 50% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 9 to 950 by the end of tomorrow. So optimism is still on the table, which is good, but bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of between that 750 and 8. So they are anticipating a little bit of consolidation. With tomorrow being Friday though, just take note of this. So you do have roughly 8,000 at that 750, 13,000 at the 8, 21,000 at the 850, 129,000 at the 9, 42,000 at the 950, 66,000 at the 10, and so forth and so forth. So best case scenario, at the very bare minimum, Opendoor does close above 9. But this is where you could see shorts also really start to double down to ensure that Opendoor does close below 9, because market makers and shorts, they ultimately want as much as this to expire worthless as possible. But these are some of the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So I'm doing top down based on the premiums. So feel free, you can always pause it and kind of look at the timestamp. But we did have the largest being 5.5 million, 3.04. On the dark pool, we had 2.02 and then 1.4. So hedge funds weren't really doing all that much with Opendoor. And yeah, unfortunately, I guess the news that did come out today wasn't enough for institutions to buy it. So for their upcoming earnings, and I think the whole fear in the broader market about Powell really took hold of people really buying the dip for the most part. With it closing at 814, it is trading between this pivot and this S1. So 783 is going to be that strong support. 824 followed by 864 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. So I know it did go down over the last couple of trading days. It's consolidating, but not down and out just yet. Because for a momentum stock, as long as you keep up some good like advertisements, interviews, news, the stock can easily go up. We've seen that time and time again. So it's just the fact that we haven't had a good catalyst, good enough catalyst to really prompt some buying. So that's why we've consolidated a little bit. Aside from all of that fun stuff on the actual chart itself, today it did break below that 10-day moving average, signaling that momentum is slowly going down. Based on the flow, you see a lot of algorithmic trading. And so, as I've mentioned in the past, that alongside shorts make up for a good chunk of the volume. Nothing really crazy for news. So it looks like a lot of the trending articles kind of came out yesterday, so nothing overly crazy. No new analyst ratings on a side note, so it was largely just piggybacking off of the broader market. And you never know, if they actually do hit a good home run earnings and give phenomenal future guidance, that could prompt some optimism among analysts. And then you never know, if analysts give, let's say, a $6-7 price target, that could stimulate some buying as well. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Are you taking profits? What's your general thoughts on Opendoor? And as I've mentioned, I know it always, like, it's kind of those waves, right? Every time we do consolidate, people get very bearish. But if you do truly believe in Opendoor, this is the optimum time to actually buy long-term calls. Again, that's if you believe it. Let's say, theoretically, if it goes, you're assuming it's going to go to 10, and let's say you think it's going to go there by, I don't know, end of November or even January, for instance. Let's throw up January. You can do a long call spread or kind of just a straight up call and get 35.59%, or a long call spread, get 280%, 280.95%. So that's return on your risk. Or you could even do a short put spread. So feel free to pause it and go through it. These are some options, but times when like things are consolidating and you are still bullish, look at options. This is where you can make some very, very serious money. So again, you do whatever floats your boat. I'm not here to get you to sell, nor am I getting you to buy. All I'm just doing is interpreting the data. So let me know your viewpoint. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. If you do want to take a look at Moomoo with all those options and the chains, and makes it very easy and user friendly, sign up using my link, and you have this promo where if you throw $100 at it, they give you $50 back. So link to that is in the description below. And then one final thing, if you are looking for some kick-ass buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, pop over to my Patreon. I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades. Worthwhile to pop over there and check that out. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.